Hey everybody, so today we're going to be talking about Steam Siege, and not just Steam Siege, we're going to look at a couple other sets, really bad sets in my opinion, from XY, Sun and Moon, and a couple from Sword and Shield era, and we'll talk about some of the data too, and just the spreadsheet as well. I'd love to get your guys' opinion. Some of you have been saying that you would be interested in this if I do eventually sell access to it. Once I fill it out a lot more, I want there to be a lot more value, but if you guys have any sort of input or things that you would want to see in a document like this, please let me know. But today we will be looking at Steam Siege, Guardians Rising, Crimson Invasion, Rebel Clash, Darkness Ablaze, and I will touch on Vivid Voltage over here and Battle Styles as well. The reason I didn't throw those in here is just because it would have been a huge data set, and I just don't have a ton of time today. I got a lot of stuff to do. So we'll just look at this. And I do think this is interesting enough for you guys to get some value out of the day. So Steam Siege, we are going to be doing the same thing as basically always. We have the set over here. You have the lowest listed BB. So normally we go off TCG Player, but the problem going off TCG Player with these very old sets is that normally the TCG Player price is not super accurate. So for this, we're using lowest listed on eBay in North America. And you can see for Steam Siege, that would be $854.98 from a very large seller. Even though there's not a photo, I imagine it's going to be a legit box. And then even Darkness Ablaze, I did it. Darkness Ablaze sells fairly often on TCG Player, so probably at that point you could have used TCG Player, but I used Darkness Ablaze eBay data instead of the TCG Player. 20% leg up, here are the prices there. Booster box supply below that 20% leg up or before it. Daily sales volume, and then I took a 30-day average instead of a weekly average. And then I also put in the average sale price from all of those sales. So I believe if it's 0.17 sales per day, there were 5 sales in a month, and then I averaged out those 5 sales, and I did that for all of these. So that's kind of just going to give us a better idea of what these are selling for, because people can list for whatever they want. You can see with Steam Siege already, lowest listed box is $855. The average sale price though is $734. So maybe it'll sell at this price. Will people list below that for other sale and get sales before the $855 one? Probably. I hope that makes sense. But you can see 20% leg up for Steam Siege. The box jumps from $855 right to $2K. And I don't think this $2K box is going to sell. 20% leg up would be around $1,000. So this is ridiculously priced. But if this one sells and there's none on the market, and then someone comes along and they really want a box, they might buy it. So that's kind of how the economics of these very old sets or rare items work. It was the same thing when I dealt with very rare GBA games and Tamagotchis, especially some sealed Tamagotchis like the V3 connections or the V4s, V5s. Some of them are very rare and they almost never pop up. So I would have sellers from like China, Japan, like very interesting places in Asia reach out to me and try and buy those just because there's almost none on the market. We're almost getting to that point with some of these XY boxes, and especially black and white or even eras older than that. And I do plan once a month to kind of do a video on that going forward. XY, I think I'll make it its own monthly video, and I'll do all the sets in XY and give you guys all the data and everything you need to know. But then I'll do like a vintage day, so like black and white before that. I think that'll be very interesting to look at as well. But you can see even with something like Steam Siege Steam Siege is selling for $734. If you go to TCG Player and you look back over the past year, these boxes were selling. There were lots of sales on TCG Player in like the 390, 370 range. You had some probably down here closer to 360, 350. So it's basically doubled over the past 12 months based on TCG Player sales data or confirmed sales. And I'm sure if you go back a year on eBay, you could find sales of Steam Siege probably even lower than $340. Maybe that would just be my guess. And these boxes also serve as a great reminder that what's inside of set does not matter ultimately when these boxes get a lot older. So I've had people right now, if you guys follow my One Piece channel, I made a video talking about EBO1, which has a lot of meta cards in it right now. I had someone tell me that that box price is going to crash if they reprint some of those cards in another set. The reality is this just does not happen in collectible card games that often with the booster boxes. Booster boxes, they run on scarcity and also just the sealed value of that product, right? It's a collectible in and of itself. So in Steam Siege, even though you have the Mega Guard of War that has kind of popped off a little bit over the past 6 months or so. The Gardevoir EX, the Mega Steel X. So a couple of these cards have seen some decent growth, but nothing too crazy in this set. Guardians Rising, same deal. Like, I'm going to be a broken record in this video. This was selling for low $400, $400 last summer. And man, I'm having a really difficult time speaking today. Lowest listed, $830 on eBay. 20% leg up would be close to $1,000, but the average sale price is only $772. But that's still very decent growth from around the summertime where it was like a $400 box, almost 100% gain on something like Guardians Rising, which is just really not that great of a set. Sylveon GX top card around $100 at this point. That is decent. I guess we can look at this. It probably has had some decent growth because I don't remember this card being that expensive. If we look at a one-year chart, yeah, so this did pop from around 65, 70 up to around $100. That kind of makes sense there. Crimson Invasion next up, $420, lowest listed on eBay, 20% leg up around 503. Average sale price $415. If we go look at Crimson Invasion on TCG Player though, you had lots of sales around $200, $210 back in the summer of last year. So even Crimson Invasion is getting close to 100% ROI over a fairly short period of time. And you have the Gyarados up top, you have Lucamine. But again, look, these are $35, $40 cards. The box is selling on average for $415 now on eBay. That is just wild. Rebel Clash, next up, lowest listed on eBay, $303, 20% leg up, $364. 7 boxes surprisingly listed for Rebel Clash. So I forgot to mention Steam Siege and Guardian Rising, no boxes listed before, 20% leg up. Crimson Invasion, there were 7 boxes as well listed below this 503.94 but above 420. So there are a few on the market, and you can see the daily sales volume is actually decently high on these. 0.6 boxes per day for Crimson Invasion, which was surprising to me. That gives you about 12 days of inventory before a leg up. Rebel Clash, 0.37 daily sold boxes. That gives you about 19 days. And you can see the average sale price here is around that 304. So closer to this lower end here. But again, if you go look at TCG Player, this was selling for around $200 last summer, 220 maybe. So close to that 45-50% gain there. And then finally in the graph, we have Darkness Ablaze, 212.58 lowest listed, 255, 20% leg up, 98 boxes listed below this 255. And I thought that was very interesting because all of these, there was almost no supply on the market. And then Darkness Ablaze just out of nowhere is close to 100 boxes. But it is selling at a decent rate. 1.66 boxes are selling per day over the past 30 days. I didn't do a sales average just because it was so many boxes, like 50 or something like that. So I just didn't want to do that today. Sorry, guys. I am a bit lazy. I'm feeling lazy. I worked like 17 hours yesterday, so I'm just trying to recover. That gives you around 59 days of remaining inventory though. So you can see some of these Sword and Shield sets that were probably printed a bit heavier. There is a lot more supply out there, but they are still moving on a fairly decent basis. And you can see that on TCG Player as well. You have a couple sales from 3 days ago, 215 and 210. So not bad. But again, nothing inside. This top card is $36. And then you have some rainbows. Like, these sets were just so bad. We've really been spoiled with the back half of Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet Air, and a couple other sets I just want to touch on this video. Because even Vivid Voltage, right, I think a year ago, people really did not enjoy Vivid Voltage. Everyone knew this was printed into oblivion. There were so many cases out there. You could buy, what was it, 48 boxes at one time on the Pokemon Center? Or was there even a limit? Like maybe it was 99 boxes. Either way, it was insanely high. These were just sitting around $110, $120 for the longest time. Slowly crept into the 130s. They were still below MSRP. And then eventually Pokemon started popping off and people started buying these out. And now that they're out of stock on the Pokemon Center, the secondary market's just doing its thing and they're over $200 a box now. Can also look at the cards in this. You do have a Chonkachu, $160-ish. So out of all these sets, Vivid Voltage does probably have the best chase card so far. I think the only set, which we'll talk about in a second, Battle Styles, has a better one, but Vivid Voltage, yeah, the Pikachu is a decent card, and it was really famous for COVID time, so fair enough there that that box has some value. Battle Styles, same deal. This was printed into oblivion, sat below MSRP for the longest time, and then early January went out of stock. It might have went out of stock even before that, but it did pop off. Secondary market's doing its thing. We've seen it kind of stabilize around this 185 range, which makes sense considering a lot of other boxes from the Sword and Shield era and SV era are kind of in this range, so I don't think it's going to go too much higher in the short term, but long term it probably will do its thing and continue to climb, and eventually maybe it'll reach Steam Siege level or Guardians Rising and be like a $400 or $500 box. I imagine like Battle Styles is much better than Crimson Invasion or Rebel Clash, so it's eventually going to get to a higher level than it is now. The Sleepy Tea Tower is around $210 if you're curious. I really don't look at a lot of these alt arts much anymore. You guys know I don't deal with singles and slabs that often, so keeping up with these price graphs. If you guys want me to do that more, like let me know in the comments down below. But I think most people are here on my channel are more interested in the sealed product, so that's kind of what I stick to. Also, it's what I know better, so outside of me giving my biased opinion on cards and stuff like that, I don't think I add too much value looking at singles. But point being, to wrap up this video, boxes that are really bad, that nobody wanted, the reality is there aren't that many out there on the secondary market, and they still are selling. 5 a month for Steam Siege and Guardians Rising is not bad, and they're selling on average for $735, and that would be before shipping and tax. So pretty decent pricing there for some very bad sets. Crimson Invasion, $415, $417-ish range, whatever. Rebel Clash, over $300 now as well. And again, if you guys are interested in this document, or if there's anything you want me to add in the future, because I'm going to have One Piece, I'm going to have the ETBs, I'm adding the PCTBs this week, so you'll see the Friday video will have PCTBs, and then we'll have the Pokemon booster boxes as well over there for Sword and Shield era. And then maybe eventually I will add in the SV era. I could, in theory, do that now. I think the sales volume, there would just be so many boxes out there that I'm not sure how useful the data would be. But if you guys want me to do SV era, I absolutely can do that, maybe on its own day during the week. So let me know in the comments down below, as always, what you guys think. Again, if you're shopping, eBay, Hobbiesville, TCG Player, I have affiliate links down below, free and easy to use, and I get a small kickback. Helps me continue to create videos like this. With that said, thank you guys so much for watching the video. Stay safe wherever you are in the world, and I'll catch you in the next one.